ever been looking for great justification in competition in sports video games, you can find it right here in the ongoing rivalry between FIFA and Pro Evolution Soccer. We've got the latest editions of both games out right now, and I thought I'd do something that I haven't done in a long time, honest-to-goodness versus between these two big, high-level, well-produced soccer games. We've got FIFA 20 going up against eFootball PES 2020. I think that's what it is. PES, short for Pro Evolution Soccer.
Goal, Milan!
So the way that we break this down is visuals, audio, and gameplay. And of course, there's a lot more weight on gameplay because that's what's most important, isn't it? Let's start with the visuals and how FIFA 20 breaks down against PES 2020. First of all, I have to say that FIFA makes so much money for Electronic Arts. We all know this. It's a huge moneymaker for a myriad of reasons. It's an incredibly popular sports franchise, but of course, the Football Ultimate Team makes them tons and tons of cash. So you would expect that the visuals would just slaughter the competition. But no, I don't think that is the case. I think PES 2020 looks phenomenal. It's not in the menu department. It's not in the extra flash and flourish. It's not in, all of the sort of broadcast quality signage and stuff that pops up. I think FIFA has that down. It also has the new Volta Mode, which adds a whole new level of detail and depth into the visual department. But what PES has is this incredible detail and finesse when you're on the field. The animations are rock solid. They look and they feel a little bit more grounded, a little bit more rooted in reality than the FIFA animations, even though the FIFA animations are wonderful and perhaps there's more of them in the totality across all of different modes. But I don't know, there was something that just blew me away about the way my players moved on the pitch on PES 2020. I saw this one animation, which, I'm sure I've caught in my many years of reviewing soccer video games in the past. One of the players, just as a shot was coming in towards net, one of the defenders just casually turned around and let the ball hit his back in such a convincing manner. It was so much like I was watching a television broadcast of a sports game. It was unbelievable. I was really, really impressed. Contrast with, I think there's a latent accessibility with the play of FIFA, which I'll talk about in the gameplay department, but I think that also is something that you could witness in the way that the players move. It feels like it's a little bit faster. It feels like it's a little bit more leaning in the arcadey direction, which isn't a bad thing. It just feels a tiny step removed from feeling like everything is photoreal, which is, I think, one of the marks that we're trying to go for here with sports video games, is trying to kind of encapsulate what we see in real life. I mean, honestly, FIFA has spent all the money on all the licensing with the players and the teams and the stadiums and all that, and all of that stuff is beautifully represented. And the player build-up and being able to customize your own character, it's terrific in both games. Perhaps there's more options in FIFA because of the Volta elements and all the streetwear, and again, all of the extra licensing that EA has paid for and partnerships that they have. I was really impressed. The visuals on PES are awesome. They're really good. Are they better than FIFA? No. And it's because of all those things that I just mentioned. They spent a fortune on licensing all kinds of different brands and different places and different people. The street locations in Volta look phenomenal. They've done a really good job at kind of internationalizing everything. It just bowls you over with its total visual presentation. I still think the menus are a little bit clunky and cumbersome in FIFA as well, but they're a lot more elegant and a lot more tuned and more interesting to kind of guide through than they are in PES. And let's be honest, I'm talking about menus, that's not the gameplay, but we spend a lot of time in menus in sports video games, and it's something that I know teams work on a tremendous amount to kind of nail and get right, and it's part of the user experience. I think FIFA's user experience with navigating through that stuff is better, but it's also got a little bit more of an artistic flair. Shockingly, in the player model and on-pitch gameplay, though, they're pretty neck and neck, and I was not expecting that. I was fully expecting FIFA to run away with it. But then when you add in all the extras and the Volta, yeah, FIFA is a better looking game. In the audio department, I would say that I liked the more subdued commentary that I heard in PES a little bit better. I heard less commentary, and so that meant I heard less repetition in some of the dialogue and some of the phrasing, and there was less hysterics.
It all started well enough.
There was a lot more animation and a lot more energy and a lot more people freaking out in every game that I played in FIFA.
Still got a bit to do, but this is promising.
which is fun, but it got a little bit repetitive and a little numbing after a while. Whereas in PES, I liked the subtleties and the flair. I also liked that they were yelling out the player names as they were approaching the goal. I thought that was pretty cool, you know? It made it feel a lot more one-to-one, like I was watching a real broadcast.
To Pablo. It's Lewandowski!
Both games have a really solid collection of musical tracks from around the world, but FIFA kills it every time. FIFA as an album, the pastiche of all of these different sounds and songs from around the world. Every time I listen to a FIFA game, I'm blown away by, again, the license gathering that the FIFA team does. You know, they scour to get great tracks and really cool music, so you're bopping along. And you're hearing stuff that you don't normally hear, you know, and a lot of the North American-based or focused type content that I'm reviewing throughout the year, I don't normally hear a lot of these different artists. I also thought the crowd sound sounded a lot better in FIFA as well, and also with the Volta and all the voice acting that they put into the story mode. Again, it's more that FIFA loaded in everything and the kitchen sink with regards to production, and I would have to say that FIFA sounds better than PES, but PES does sound pretty damn good as well.
Goes for goal! Really well taken goal!
Now here is the most important element and the most important part of how we would experience soccer games over time. Both games offer you lots of different ways to play, lots of different modes. You've got online modes, you've got the ability to create clubs and players. Of course, you've got the ability to spend money in both of these games. But I'm happy that there's lots of ways to play both of these games where you don't have to spend a dime. I feel like there's been a conscientious effort to not put money at the front and center as you're getting into the My Club modes in PES or the FIFA Ultimate Team modes in FIFA. There is definitely an awareness out there that people are getting a little exhausted by all the loot boxes and all the purchasing stuff.
It's all over the place.
If you want to compete and your sort of trajectory is to be online all the time and be the best player and you get into the nuts and bolts of all of that stuff, that's not the way I would play these games. And I know that a lot of people, that offends them, the idea that you're paying full price for a title, and then there's also this expectation to, you know, keep paying and taking your chances to build up the best team with the best coaches and the best accessories and the best whatevers. So play that at your own peril. Now, FIFA does add the Volta Mode, and that makes a huge, significant contribution in gameplay this year to this game. They've steered away from the story modes that they've done in the last few FIFA games, where it's been this guy's rise to the pro leagues and stuff. You can still rise into the pros with the Volta story and characters that you build, but it's like a separate game. It's a street game, and it's very cool. It's not unlike the blacktop mode that you would get in NBA 2K or the threes mode or the ones mode in NHL. I love this new mode. I think Volta is fantastic. It adheres to the physics and control configurations that you would get in the traditional FIFA game. It's not FIFA Street. It's not to be confused with FIFA Street. You have to be totally on your game, and you have to play as the keeper too, right? Because you're playing on street pitches and the space is small. Sometimes the ball will bounce off of the walls, and you've got to be able to run back and forth across the pitch and stand in front of the net and get used to blocking and stuff. I actually liked that Volta taught me how to better position my player to get in front of shots so that I could take that knowledge and employ that on the traditional pro field as well. I thought that was really cool. I did find that the AI wasn't always my friend. My AI teammates in Volta, I found like pass to me, man, this is ridiculous. Get open, get in a spot where you're actually going to receive the pass that I'm going to send to you. But it's so slick, it's so well produced. I'm not a big fan of the story stuff. I thought it got a little bit cheeseball. But again, I like the international flavor, and I like the music and the different kind of energy and the streetwear and all that. It's fun, man. It's a great addition to FIFA 20, and it makes a huge, significant contribution to the value of the game. With PES, I think it's more about training and learning the ropes, and both teams offer this idea of this sort of chemistry that you have within the teams and learning all of the specific details. PES feels very technical to me. It feels very much like I'm watching tape, like I'm learning to be a better soccer player. I'm going to play this game, and then I can go and play the real sport of soccer better. I know that is music to many people's ears out there. It's a wonderfully tuned and great playing experience, but it's also mired in a lot of minutia that kind of took me out of the experience, and it's also coupled with some kind of obtuse navigation, and I would be wanting to jump into a game with a player that I created, but he was benched based on all of the statistics and the tracking and what the coaches were thinking, and then I was getting all kinds of offers to join other teams, but I'd have to wait for the trading periods and all that stuff. So I was sitting there playing one of the career modes, and nothing was happening. I was simming, and I was never on the field, and it was like, okay, well, I guess this is fun for some people, but and maybe it's accurate, but it was a little tedious for me. But once I did get on the field, I felt phenomenal. It felt very difficult to score. It felt like you had to earn every damn goal. We've come a long way from the early days of video game soccer where you get scores of 20 to 30 or whatever. You have to earn every single thing, and I felt like a rock star when I would even come close to getting it on net, and when I was doing one-timers and things like that, it just felt incredible, especially in PES. Also in FIFA, but FIFA feels more forgiving to me. FIFA does feel like it's a more accessible, slightly arcadey, slightly more forgiving kind of, American-leaning soccer experience, whereas PES feels like it's made for people that live and breathe the soccer lifestyle or the football lifestyle. I could say the same about both games as well, because there's so much minutia and so many details across both titles.
Has a pop! Back of the net!
Honestly, I had a great time in both of these games. They're both excellent. Especially if you like soccer video games, you're not going to really be disappointed. I guess the only thing that you could be disappointed by is that we're coming close to the new console generation, and these games do feel iterative. They do feel like they're the end of this last era of consoles, the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One era of consoles. It feels like, okay, we got to the last big game here, but now it's time to start thinking about what is coming next. You can kind of feel that in both of these titles, although Volta, I think, is a nice burst of energy and a much bigger core escape in FIFA than I was thinking it was going to be. Honestly, I feel like for me, I would get more value out of continuing my play and carrying along with FIFA. I completely understand the PES diehards out there, the love and adoration that you feel for the PES franchise. You're also going to have an awesome time playing PES 2020. Again, both these games are terrific, and I would give PES 2020 an 8 out of 10, and I would give FIFA 20 an 8.5 out of 10. Can't go wrong either way.
Over the hills and far away! No catching them now!